Hi there, how's it going? Richard Kiston here. In this video, I want to talk to you about how does a bankruptcy case affect your car. So lots of people file bankruptcy, and when they contact me, a question that I often get is, what's going to happen to my car? And the answer to that question really is, it depends. So in bankruptcy cases, one of the biggest things are exemptions, and the laws state what you can protect in terms of property, or not protect meaning exempt from the bankruptcy estate, in that it can't be administered. It returns to you once the bankruptcy estate is closed out. So essentially it's protecting property. And with cars, whether it's state law or federal law that you're using, the law states what you can exempt in with a car. So here in New York, I think off the top of my head, it's like $4,000. And so you can exempt or protect $4,000 in equity in a car. Now, most people are going to have ownership of a car in one of three ways. First, they're the owner outright of the car, so there's no lien, no lease or anything on it. Number two is they're leasing it, and then number three is that they're financing it with a bank. So let's take each one in turn. First, if you own a car outright, how it works in bankruptcy is as follows. Let's say you're filing here in New York and you can exempt or protect up to $4,000 in equity of a car that you're owner of. So if your car is $4,000 or less in terms of its sale value or its market value, then no problem. You can protect your car because you can use the exemption to protect the entirety of your car. Now, what happens if your car is worth $10,000 though? That's the interesting place, because now your car is worth $10,000. You can protect $4,000, so that $6,000 difference is unprotected. So generally what happens is that if you want to keep the car, you have to negotiate with the trustee about paying some amount of that $6,000. Otherwise, the trustee can take it, sell the car. They would have to give you the first $4,000, and then the other money that they get from the sale, that goes towards creditors. So that's how it works with a car that you own outright. The second space is if you lease a car. Now, the thing about a lease is that you're not actually the owner. The lender or the car company, they own the car and they've just given you a license to use it. That's what a lease is. And so in a bankruptcy, you can either continue to use the car by affirming the lease. That's saying that your intention is to continue going with the lease, making the payments, or you can cancel the lease and surrender the car back. So those are the options you have with a lease of a car. The final one is if you're financing a car, and that usually a lender puts a lien against the title. So the same thing, you have to look at the equity in the car. So if you owe, let's say you have a car that's worth $20,000, you owe $25,000 on the loan, right? Which is usually the case. When you buy a car, the value just sort of drops off right away. There's no equity because you owe more than the car's worth. So generally you can file bankruptcy, and the only creditor that's affected is the secured creditor in that case. If the car is worth more than you owe, right? So again, let's say the car this time is worth $20,000, but the balance on your loan is $10,000. Then, kind of like in our first example, you have to figure out what you can do with that $10,000 difference. So you'll use some of the exemption to protect whatever exemption is available, and then negotiate with the trustee to keep that car. Otherwise, the trustee may seek to sell it, pay off the loan, and then if there's any money left over, they can use that for creditors. Generally, with this last category of cars where you're financing it, the lender's going to request what's called a reaffirmation agreement, and that's a contract to reinstate your liability. When you file for bankruptcy, your liability on, let's say, a car note terminates, right? Because the discharge applies to a car note. But what will happen is that because the lender wants to stay secured, they'll ask you after the filing to sign this thing called a reaffirmation agreement. And in reaffirmation, you're agreeing to reinstate your liability. It's usually the same terms that were still existent on the loan. So the same, whatever is the principal balance outstanding, the same interest and whatnot, to continue using the car. Otherwise, some aggressive creditors will seek to repossess the car. So that's generally the three ways that most people have a car, is that one, they own it outright, two, they lease, or three, they finance. And again, bankruptcy affects each one. You really have to look at what the market value of the car is and then use the particular exemption to protect any equity in the car. So if you have any questions of how bankruptcy may affect your car if you're thinking of filing for bankruptcy, please visit my website, www.lork.nyc, or you can contact my office, 718-738-2324. Also, if you're thinking of filing for bankruptcy and want to get started right away, you can check out the Chapter 7 bankruptcy course that I created. You can go step by step, form by form, and prepare and file your own Chapter 7 bankruptcy case. You can get more information and access to the course by visiting bankruptcy.lork.nyc. Until next time, take care, be well, and bye for now.